We are so excited to have Ambreia Turner on today. Not only is she a phenomenal photographer, but she's also an awesome businesswoman. And we are really thrilled that she is part of our Thrive community. And so she's already shared so much with us on there, and I'm already learning so much from her. So we're excited to have her on and to come talk more about everything. We're actually sponsoring you for the Photo Cookout, which is happening next week.
Yes,
And
I'm
the
so
photo,
excited.
yes, it's going to be so fun. And it is a conference. Now, by the time you hear this, it'll probably be over for the year, but you still need to go check it out. So next year you can go. I would love to go next year. So I'm going to definitely keep up with it. And she's going to go represent us. And I just am so thrilled about that. So anyway, welcome. I
Thank
am so
you. Thank you so
excited to
much,
talk to
Whitney.
you.
I'm
Yeah.
excited to talk to you as well. It has been, I feel like this, of course, has been a long time coming, but also so full circle. I have actually been a Swift member for about 6 years,
It's
probably a
awesome.
little bit longer, like ever since I started IPS. So I've been in business for 7 years on October 6th, and I'm super excited. I'm just excited about the new levels and being able to help other mompreneurs, other entrepreneurs, and specifically photographers come away feeling very in love with their business, satisfied. And for the Photo Cookout, I'm speaking on boundaries and best practices for a better business. And I think that IPS has freed me from the chains of needing every single client that inquires and taking on clients that are less than ideal, opportunities that are less than ideal.
Mhm.
And so I'm super excited to share my why and how I made that happen.
Yes, that is awesome. And if you're listening and you're like, what is IPS? It is, and that would be if you're new. If you've been with us for a while, you know what IPS is. It stands for
Mm-hmm.
in person sales, but that also can include Zoom person sales. Do you
Mm-hmm.
ever do your in person sales over Zoom? Or are they all like actually in person, face to face?
So it's interesting because when COVID hit in 2020, I moved to Zoom. I feel like it enhanced my process because I was able to do remote prep appointments. I
Mm-hmm.
called them session planning meetings. And then that also allowed me a window into my client's home. I was able to see their walls, where they were thinking about hanging something, and of course, position myself as the expert for them, being that I can tell them, okay, yeah, a 16 by 20 will go there. A 20 by 30 will look great right there. We could do a wall grouping and planting that seed from the beginning. But I've actually been selling on Zoom for over 3 years now.
That is awesome. And it opens, I'm guessing it opens up for you to be able to do this with people that live further out of your area. Because I was reading
Absolutely.
on your website and you will travel, and that gives you a chance. So if you see them in person, do their photos, and then later on, there's no more traveling for either of you.
Yes, absolutely. I think that helps me to deliver on my promises to my clients as well. Oftentimes, because my clients are seeing unretouched photos, they are mostly straight out of camera with very little tweaking, whether that's exposure or cropping and things like that. It helps me to be able to deliver on the promise that they can see their photos in just a few days while they're still
That's
excited.
It is awesome. Yes. And I would love for you to share with everyone how you would describe the type of photography that you do
Hmm.
in your style, because and I'm going to repeat this again. You have to go see her website because it's beautiful. And I feel like when I looked at your website, I get such a great idea of who you are, what your values are, what kind of experience I'm going to have. And so I love that. But I want you to describe that for everybody listening.
So I like to say that I create portraiture for legendary women. My clients are badasses, and I'm typically capturing their journey into motherhood. My specialties are maternity and motherhood portraiture, and I typically will work with experienced or brand new moms. So that if we're like going through their first year, it'll include maternity, newborn, motherhood, and then that baby's first birthday. I'm usually including the family for the first year photo because it's like you get mom, dad, and baby for newborn, and you get mom, dad, and baby for the first year.
Mm-hmm.
And then at 6 months, it's the motherhood session, which captures the evolution of who she has become through
Mm.
motherhood. It's definitely a confidence boost, and it's a milestone. She's kept the baby alive for a whole 6 months.
Yes.
That is no easy
Yes.
feat.
And at that age, it's okay. They're so tiny and delicate then. And I know particularly for new moms, and I only have one child. When I say only, I love him. I am very happy with my one
Yes,
child, but
but he's your world.
he is. And when they're that small, especially when I had him as a new mom, I was terrifying. And so I just love that you celebrate that. And your style too is it's done in studio, but it's
Mm-hmm.
still I don't even know what it's not traditional by any means.
Mm-hmm.
I would not
Mm-hmm.
say traditional, but it's just dynamic.
It's more
So it's just this
glam. It's
glam.
definitely
That's
um,
the right word.
glam, sensual, I would say refined because
Yes.
like I'm highly focused on lighting. And
Yes.
then yeah, it definitely puts mom center stage. This is not just about the celebration of having a baby. I'm from the South, and before I
Too.
moved my business in the area that I was marketing in, my market was very heavily focused on, oh, the baby. I
Mm-hmm.
said, I don't want to be the newborn photographer. I don't want to be the newborn photographer that everybody goes to. I think that's great. I love when my clients return, but this is about celebrating you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I I love that. And I know kind of what the one of the main things we want to do, and I could ask you so many questions, and we could go through
You know
so
that we
many
can talk
different
all
lines of
day.
questioning. Yes. But I know for today, we want to focus on what you just mentioned, the fact that you used to be in the South and now you moved and you're in the DC area. And that can be really difficult changing from one place to the next place. And I guess my first question is that it was it when you moved that you decided to change to doing more of the focus on the mom, or was that happening while you were still and you were in Alabama, correct?
I
Alabama.
was in
So,
South Alabama
okay.
along the panhandle, 30 minutes from Pensacola and 30 minutes from Mobile.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. So yeah, that's a pretty big difference. Going
It's
to
a huge difference.
huge difference.
Whitney,
Yes.
I can tell you, honestly, I had so much anxiety about moving my business,
Oh,
and I know a lot of people experience this. I
yes.
was anxious. I just hit 5 years in business. I told my husband, you don't know what it's like to
Mhm.
build something from the ground up, bootstrap it, be passionate about your clients, and not want to move. And then, of course, I was intimidated by the market. DC
Hmm.
is full of talent. And I think it's easy to get distracted by what everyone else can do.
Yeah.
You have to focus on what you can do.
Yes.
So once the move was solidified, I knew I had to
Hmm.
get in gear.
Yeah. And so you had that anxiety. Was there anything in particular that helped you overcome that? Was that are you just like the kind of person that's, oh, I'm going to do it. Forget this. I'm going to stop worrying. Or was there something or someone that inspired you to say, you know what? I can just be me. I'm going to be able to make this happen. I did it before. And 5 years is a big milestone for a
It is a
business.
big
Yeah.
milestone. It is. First off, my husband spoke a lot of life into me. He transitioned prior to myself and the kids.
Mhm.
And so he was like, this market is going to love you. Everything that you do is going to be well received here. There are so many people who can afford what you do and
Mm-hmm.
how you serve your clients. He spoke to the market being like just time poor and needing someone that had a boutique experience like mine. And I will say the South sometimes is more DIY.
Mm.
And up here, it's like, what can you do that is going to help me save time and or money?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And I think identifying the struggles of your clients is a huge way to separate yourself in the market. It is so true as far as the
Mm-hmm.
time. People do want time freedom, but they want to celebrate their milestones too. It's very important for me to emphasize that I'm not creating a DIY project for my clients.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have time.
Mm-hmm.
This is not, no shade, but this is not Framebridge or Shutterfly
No.
or, don't take these digitals over here and give them your money instead of
Yeah.
giving me your money. I created
Yes.
this. Let me finish this work for you.
I love.
And so it was definitely very well received in the market, but I knew I didn't want to do anything else. I knew I didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to move outside of photography. I knew I didn't want to go into expanding my career in my field of study. I have a degree in telecommunications and a minor in marketing. And now the marketing aspect I love,
Yes.
but I don't
And you're
want to
using that.
do it
Yeah.
for someone else. I am
Yes.
using that.
Yes. Yeah. That is awesome. And I think, and it's interesting because absolutely from my experience in the South, there is a large culture of DIY. That is my family. My family is very DIY. And I tell you, I want to be DIY. I like love, I'm always like, oh, I will go, I think I could do this cheaper, or I'm like, oh, this would be so fun to do. And I don't do it because I don't have time. And then I just miss out. Yeah. And I think no matter where you are, there are people that want you to help save them time. Sometimes they
Mm-hmm.
don't know it. They don't even know they
Mm-hmm.
need that. And sometimes they
Mm-hmm.
think that is the only option is to do it themselves because everyone's, oh, I want digitals. And then you can get them and you're like, what do I do? What do I do with these? Yes. And so it
Very much
sounds
so.
you just hearing you talk, it's really interesting because everything I've learned about doing in-person sales, you just have it down. You have it down. You're like, this is, I'm going to be saving you time. I am giving you this
And I'm
experience. This
ultimately
is why,
saving you money too, because if you do it
yes,
wrong, you're gonna have to pay again. And
yes,
Shutterfly will take your money again, and Walgreens will
yes,
take your money again. And I tell my clients, don't print at Wall anything,
yeah.
at Walmart, at Walgreens.
Well, nothing. Yep, yep.
And I
Love
explain to
it.
them that these professional labs have been number one doing this for absolute years. This is their
Hmm.
expertise. They have the materials that Target doesn't have.
They
They have
do.
the
Yep.
materials that Walgreens doesn't have.
Hmm.
And so, do you really want to spend all of this money with me to create these beautiful portraits and have them come out a different color than
Hmm.
right here in front of you? I
Yep.
can't control the outcome
No.
of those products. If I print something wrong, I'm going to reprint it. If they get something wrong and it's not up to your standards, they're going to tell you to do it again.
Hmm. Yep.
It's a you problem.
And again, like more time and more stress for
More
them.
time,
Yep.
more, all the things. All
Yeah.
the things. Yeah.
So, what then was your first step when you went, like, you're like, okay, this move is happening. I'm going there. I'm finally confident I can do this. What was your first step to start to get into this market?
I think in order to be found in a new market, you have to know how people search. Is that Google? Is it Instagram? Pinterest is also a search engine. YouTube is also a search engine. So, are you connected with those search engines? One of the first things that I did was change my hashtags, change my locations on Instagram. So, I
Perfect.
started to immediately I have a note in my phone that has all of my hashtags, and I just
Mm-hmm.
copy and paste at the bottom. I'm making sure that, okay, let me go back through and let me change some, especially for your
Oh, that's
best
a great
work.
idea. Yeah,
You want to go back to your old posts, edit, change location. So
I
people
love
that are
it.
searching in that location, they will
Mm-hmm.
start to find you. If they're searching for DMV photographer,
Mm-hmm.
DMV maternity photographer, Virginia photographer, Maryland photographer, or even maternity shoot, and we all hate that word, it's a
It's
session,
not, yeah.
but you have to research the keywords that your ideal client is looking for. One of the SEO tags that I have within my website is luxury
Yes.
maternity photographer. It's very much
Mm-hmm.
so luxury, and the price tag matches. So when you
Yes.
type that in, you're expecting a certain thing.
Yes.
You're expecting the work to look like a luxury session. You expect for
Mm-hmm.
the attire that the people are wearing, expecting your photographer to represent that. And so, as long as your brand is really cohesive and it goes along and flows along with what the client is searching for, especially your ideal client, you should have no problems.
Yeah. I love that. And it's, yeah, that you made a very good point. If you're not a luxury photographer, do not use
Don't
that
put that.
hashtag. And not everyone has to be
If
luxury.
you
No.
love outdoor maternity sessions, if
Yes.
you love like lakefront maternity sessions, if you like extended family photos, if you
Hmm.
like corporate headshot, that's your hashtag
Yes.
every time.
Yeah.
So I love that. That's one of the first things that I did, and then I worked really hard in regards to making sure that the photos on my website had our locations in there for the SEO tags. So it's interesting. I put a campaign together recently to try to draw in more motherhood clients that
Hmm.
may not have been with me for maternity. I came up with some great blog titles, blog content, and I ran an ad, and the ad didn't really work out. But I had an email campaign already in motion for my existing email list. And when I decided to move away from that ad, I was really surprised that I got a lead for maternity that quickly
Oh,
because
yeah.
of SEO.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was
It's
for
such a,
motherhood, and I was like, you know what? Work. It works.
yep.
It's not always the fastest process, but it works. When we moved in July, and our
Hmm.
kids were not ready to start school yet. And in
Hmm.
fact, the preschool that I decided to enroll my then 2-year-old son in didn't start until after Labor Day.
Okay. That's,
So July, August, September, imagine like no work. And then, of course, I didn't have a studio space at the time. So I didn't actually start marketing my business outside of my SEO, outside of my hashtags until September.
oh, yeah. And then you had, so you already had an inquiry just from that SEO that you had
So
done.
I did. I had a
Yeah.
few inquiries, and I had, of course, you have a few people that know that you're moving to the area and stuff
Yes.
like that. So I had a couple of one offs, but once I started running my ads through Facebook,
Yeah.
my calendar got very booked very quickly.
Okay.
Um, so much to the point that I had to get a studio space instead of running through Peerspace by
Oh,
December.
okay.
So
Okay.
I actually signed the lease on this space in December of 2021.
Oh, how about that? So then it sounds like now you did Facebook ads
Mm-hmm.
and that actually really helped things pick up.
It does. So I was already doing ads for maternity on the Gulf Coast and would definitely generate
Okay.
some leads. And that was my primary marketing outside. I mean, Instagram is
Yeah.
free. You do your post and then you move on, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You do your post, you
Yeah.
move on, and you do your emails and all of that stuff. But I started intentionally marketing to the DMV market in September.
Okay.
And I decided that my budget for the month would be the session fee for one session.
Oh, what a
That's
great
how I
idea. Yes.
determined
Yes.
my session fee, because then the return on investment, it's break even if you only have one
Have
client.
one. Yeah.
Hmm.
And then that's if you don't sell anything on top of that.
And that's if you don't sell
Yes.
anything. You
Yes.
already know that you're going to sell something
Mm-hmm.
because the products are separate. But on average, that amount of money would usually get me 8 to 10 leads a month.
Yeah.
And then if I'm closing those leads, of course, not everybody is going to book for that month. And that is
Mm-hmm.
not what I want anyway. I don't want you to book me for
Yeah.
tomorrow. I need
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
please
Give,
give me some
give me
notice.
some time.
um, but I found that over those 3 months, my calendar, slowly had dates moving off, and I was able to prepare those clients. I found a makeup artist to send them to in my transition, because doing makeup at the studio, that's an hour that I'm
Okay.
wasting of rented time.
Okay. Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
And then by December, I had enough sessions on the books that I would have to spend $1,000 on peer space, or I could rent a space
Rent your
of my own.
space.
Hmm.
That is awesome. So you really made that transition quick, like
Very
from
quickly.
September to December.
Yes, jumped
Yes.
in, dove
Yes.
in. I was, of course, eager to get back to work.
Hmm.
I feel that my work is very purposeful, and
Yeah.
I've heard one of my previous bosses say that she was a better mom because she worked. And I can feel
Yeah.
that way from time to
Hmm.
time.
Yep.
Purpose outside of my children and not making them my universe, which, I
Yeah.
mean, of course, they dominate the majority of my
Yes.
schedule. Everything that I do is scheduled around them,
Hmm.
but it still enabled me to have my personal thing.
Yeah.
And it's funny because all of my clients are now my friends up here.
Yeah.
I have outside of the people that I met with my husband, my clients are
Hmm.
my friends. So tier two that I'm
Yeah.
now focused on is finding my tribe, creating a community, and finding my friends. That's the network layer.
Yeah.
I did not get in and network initially in my transition. I was concerned about building my business,
Mm. Yeah.
through, and oftentimes we find that when we're just starting out, um, our natural market is not our early adopters.
Oh, yeah. Hmm.
So
Yep.
why start with your natural
Yes.
market in a new market when
Yes.
you know they're not your early adopters? You already have
Yeah.
a portfolio, you have a website, you switch over your tags, start driving traffic to your website from
Hmm.
that new market. Change your blog post titles.
Yes.
Change your H1s, your H2s as far as your website, if you are hands on with your website. If
Yeah.
you are not hands on and knowledgeable, then invest in someone that can update this stuff. A very much
Yeah.
like proven, vetted SEO specialist.
Yes. Now, what platform for your website do you use?
I use Show It.
You do.
I
Okay.
use
Yeah.
Show It and I love it. Oh my gosh. There's so many things. I'm that person that, like, once I find something that I really like, I kind of stick with it.
Yeah.
So if it's not broke, don't fix it. Don't
Yes.
fix it.
Yep.
And so I've been with Show It for 5 years.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I have not used the Show It website editor, but from what I've heard so many great things and from what I understand, it's updating things like your SEO and your headings and all of that is fairly easy. It's
It's
not a difficult thing to learn.
Mm-mm. I
But
think it will be more. It may take you more time to figure out what you wanted to say than
to
do
actually
it.
do it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that's great to know. Because I know things like you can find free websites or things like WordPress. And the problem is they can be so complicated. You end up wasting your time trying to do it yourself
A
or
techie.
Yes. Yeah. So I think you can find it's well worth the money to find a very easy to use website.
Yes, and it gives you confidence when you need to tweak something. Let's say, for example, you do a portfolio build if you want
Hmm.
to capture some of those locations that are great landmarks in your area or in your new area.
Hmm.
It should be very, very easy for you to be able to get those photos on your website. If it's
Yes.
not easy, it's time to change your platform.
Yep. Great. That is such great advice. So after and I'm thinking about these blog posts. So you updated your blog post, and then after you
Hmm.
moved, did you start doing new ones where you were talking about your new location, or was it mostly just updating everything?
So I'll be honest, I am still trying to get into the habit of blogging consistently, but
It's hard.
because I knew that I was in transition, I had more time to blog. So
Hmm.
best DMV locations for maternity sessions, top five this and how to that. I wrote as much content as I could during that downtime because obviously when you become more busy, when you have work, when you
Hmm.
have more admin to do, you're not going to be able to focus on those things. So I focused very intently on the back end of my business. I even changed my CRM during that time.
Oh, you did?
I
Okay.
did.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that can be a really great time to do some of those big
Refresh,
changes.
reset.
Yes.
Yes. And you can even, test the market in regards to pricing, right?
Mm.
Some markets are very price sensitive, and
Yeah.
some markets are not as price sensitive. I am not in a price sensitive market,
Mm.
but for my market, I still feel like my session fee is pretty affordable. And so you can start to make those iterations and add in your cost, not just your cost of goods. What is your cost of doing business? If you are renting a
Mhm.
space, don't make that an add-on because then they're counting the dollars. They're they're adding it up. Oh, I have to pay you, and then technically I'm paying the studio, and then
Yeah.
technically I'm paying the makeup artist.
Mhm.
Make the math easy for them by doing your own homework and saying, okay, if I have to rent this space for 2 hours, that might be $120. If I'm paying a
Yeah.
makeup artist, that might be another $200. And then how much do I need for this to be worth my time?
Yeah. Yes. Oh, that's such a great. And I actually hadn't thought about it that way, that it's can be confusing but also make things seem more expensive rather than like
Mm-hmm.
you're paying this fee and this fee. It's it's just this one fee, and then
All
I've
these things are
paid.
included.
Yes. And then especially when they're going to show up to a studio and be like, "Oh, this amazing studio." Like, I get it.
Exactly.
I get
Exactly.
why it costs that much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for my clients, makeup artistry as well as wardrobe is included. I have a vast studio wardrobe collection. More gowns on the way.
That's
I
so
can't
fun.
not. I love it. It is fun. And when I explain to them that these gowns have been invested in for your use,
Hmm.
instead of you having to purchase something that you're only going to wear once,
Yeah.
this is where my clients understand the psychology of how I priced my session. You
Yeah.
are paying this one time fee and having a lot of amenities covered for you so
Yep.
that on the back end you can invest in what matters the most,
Hmm.
which is your products. It's not your attire.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's so fun. Now, okay, can you share like where you get some of your outfits?
I absolutely can. I have to shout out So Trendy Accessories. Valerie is amazing.
Okay.
I've probably, oh my gosh, I have so many of her gowns, and she's
Yeah.
truly a gem. And for photographers, she does have a Facebook community,
Okay. Oh, that's
um,
awesome.
and she does little flash sales and opportunities in there for photographers. She and everything is handmade. It is
Oh, it
sewn
is.
in her warehouse. It is not shipped from China.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I
I
mean,
don't want to say China's a bad word, but
you just
so
do not know what you're going to get.
y- and
Yes.
that is another point that I emphasize sometimes, or I have to
Hmm.
emphasize with people, is that it might look like that because they stole our pictures, but it is not going to be
It's
that
not going.
quality, and it might not be the right size, and it might be a different shape. You don't know. And so
Yes.
on the day of your session, when you're getting ready to go to your session, you don't want those types of surprises. You
Mm-hmm.
don't want something to come the week of and then it's terrible, and you
Mm-hmm.
also don't want for it to never show.
Yes, and that can
So there are
happen.
so many horror stories. It's ridiculous. But another designer that I really love is Katharina Hakaj Couture. She does these beautiful tulle gowns. So the robes, the tulle gowns that everybody loves and
Yes.
sees. That's who does that. And then I like Mia Stilo. Mia Stilo is, I want to say, possibly based in Germany. I might be
Okay.
incorrect about the location,
Yeah, I'll have to
but
look that
those
up.
beautiful silk fabrics, a lot of other gorgeous gowns. And then another one that I have only personally purchased like a backdrop from, but a lot of photographers purchase gowns, is Before and Ever.
Okay. That is,
Hmm.
yeah, that is awesome. I,
So again, expertise, because I know where to get these things
you
from. I
do.
know how
Yes.
to source these things, and I know how to make it very easy for my client to just come into the session, enjoy the day, get pampered, have
Hmm.
posing guidance and direction, and then walk away with some beautiful images.
And that actually takes out so much because I know a lot of families, one of the most stressful parts about photography is,
Finding
what
something
am I
to
going to
wear.
wear? What am I going to wear? What's my kid going to wear? Are we going to match? And having somebody to be able to just do that for you is like
Absolutely.
perfect.
It
It's
is.
awesome.
I love that also because I am taking away excuses, right?
Yes.
You have to
Yes.
take away the objections.
Uh-huh.
The objections, especially sometimes when it comes to maternity photography, it is a luxury, it is not a necessity.
Hmm.
And oftentimes, I would find in my previous market that the justification was, why do you need that? This is not your first baby.
Yeah.
We can't afford that. This is just about you. What about us?
Hmm.
And no, not in this market.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but the other thing is, um, I don't have to find something to wear. Some people experience overwhelm on a totally different level than we do as photographers when it comes to how to plan this out. And so, a guide, something that shows you how to plan the session, or I even have a reminder email that says, park here, arrive at this time, this is
Yes.
your makeup artist's name, um, and this is what your spouse should wear, this is what I need you to bring in your bag.
Yeah. That's perfect. Yeah.
It's
So they have
easy,
everything. They have.
everything. And then eliminating other vendors, because if
Hmm.
she's coming 30 minutes late because her makeup artist wasn't finished,
Yes. Yep. And then that's going to go on to your time. And yeah,
it
it's
goes
just,
into your time. If
yep.
you're renting a studio space, then that means that they
Hmm.
get a shorter session,
Yep.
which could impact your sale.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
So eliminating as many obstacles as possible is a key to making sure that you're doing it all.
Yeah. And yeah. And I'm glad you brought up like sending people information on how to pick what to wear. So, like, you don't have to do a lot. Well, to do what you're talking about, you don't have to have a studio. You don't have to have a whole collection of dresses. You can be the photographer that goes
Possible.
outdoors or goes to someone's home and does more
Mm-hmm.
photojournalism. But if you're able to provide them with this information, even with makeup,
You
even
can
if
have a
I'm,
list of makeup
yes,
artists
yes, that
and
you
that
like.
that refer you and you refer them.
Yes. Because I know if I'm going to get photos done, I love, especially with my family, I love kind of having some, okay, this is at our house. Like I've done a session like that before. Like, this is at
Mm-hmm.
our house and everything. But now, normally at my house, I am like in my PJs. I have no makeup.
Right.
but I do not want to look like that in my photos.
Hmm.
So
Now, when
that's
I was in Alabama, I had a makeup artist that would travel to their home.
oh, that's perfect. Yes.
And she would do their makeup at their home
Hmm.
until I got a space.
Yeah,
So there is a way to do it.
there is.
There is a
Yes.
way to do it if you are trying to offer more amenities or more expertise or just be more helpful than the
Hmm.
next photographer that expects for their client to do everything and then just wants to show up to the shoot, take a few pictures, and move on with their life. Then be better as far as your intentions, right?
Yes.
Read your ideal client and what
Hmm.
their struggles are.
Yeah, that's perfect. So before we sign off, I do want to hear a little bit more about your Facebook group because I you have mentioned that and I know you did Facebook ads and you have just an amazing strategy around doing a Facebook group and I can imagine that could be really great for starting in a new market.
I would agree. So my Facebook group, remember how I said I wanted more community and to
Yes.
be able to keep up with my clients
Mhm.
and their milestones and things like that. I yearned for more connection with my not
Yes.
just with my clients, but for me as a mom.
Yes.
I don't have a lot of mom friends
Mhm.
here yet. And although my kids are in activities, most of them are kind of like drop off situations.
Yes. Yeah.
So, in order to create more connection, I have decided to do a Facebook community. It's
Mhm.
called Made for Motherhood. And in my 18, actually 19, hello, we made 19 years of motherhood experience on Saturday. My daughter turned 19.
Ah, oh my
um,
gosh.
I wanted to be able to still have a place where I can share some of those helpful tips, where I can be more transparent about my struggles in motherhood,
Yeah.
and where we could have events outside of the studio that help to reinforce that bond. Inside of that community, though, also, that's where I'll go if I need a model. They are the
Mhm.
first people that I'm sharing with when it comes to tips,
Yeah.
sales. If I see, oh, Children's Place is having a sale, or Gap is having a sale, or even just strategies, because they are first time moms, most of
Mhm.
them. Strategies around stocking up on clothes for your kids. I said, listen, don't go and buy clothing in their current size just because it's on clearance. Buy their size that they will be next year
Yes. Mhm.
when the season breaks. I make this a community where I can be even more helpful to them.
Yeah. That is perfect. Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
I love that connection is so important because I think that community and connection is like super super important for people. It's super important for me when I had my photography business and this is now man, 17 years ago. I is when I
Come on,
started.
OG.
Yes, yes. And now I'm like working with Swift and I'm doing some other stuff. So I don't have I still do portraits sometimes, but my main focus is with Swift Galleries. But I did my business full time for 12 years. And the my spouse and I worked together for part of that. We started a group in person, and this was before all the socials.
Yeah.
And it was through a photography company that's not around anymore, but it was in Nashville, Tennessee. And we had it was for photographers to come together and chat and communicate. And it's actually how I first met Chris. Yes, for so long from so long ago was through people in that group. And it was such an amazing experience and really, especially for entrepreneurs, brought some connection because we're mostly not out with our like office mates every day trying to having friendships that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's also why I love that we're doing Thrive because it's a way to connect with people. And with so much, I think that personal connection, whether it's through social media, something like a group or
Mm-hmm.
even in person, I think is so important. And I do think a lot of that has been lost in some ways. Just the pandemic was part of it, but it's so
Yes.
important. And that's such a great thing that you've said, okay, I want some more mom friends. And so I'm going to make it happen. Like you just said, this is what I want, and you decided to do it. And I think that's amazing that you did that.
Thank
And I think
you.
that's so important. And I guess I would say if you're listening to this and you're maybe feeling lonely, and if you're feeling lonely, that's okay. First of all, it's normal. I think we
Yeah.
all have times we feel lonely. And especially if you're moving to a new place where you don't know many people, why not start a group about motherhood? Or how about a photography group if you're not a
Hmm.
parent? I just think that's a wonderful, yeah,
Thank
place to do
you.
that. And you can also make connections for your business that way.
You can. You
Yes.
can. Definitely. I think it's just really interesting, and you start to really see how much of an impact that you're having,
Yeah.
because there are some members in there that are like, they do not play about me. They are like, oh, I hate that I missed the live. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so down. And I was like, girl, it's not that there will be another one. It's okay. I hate that I
Yeah.
missed the coffee meetup. I know. I'm sad too,
Yeah.
but there will be another one. And so you start to really see how much you mean to people. I think it's really hard sometimes to know your impact,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
especially as a photographer, because you have so many people that are just sitting in a gallery. Oh, it's okay. For me, I don't see my clients in person again unless we have arranged a in person delivery. If
Mm-hmm.
we haven't arranged an in person delivery, then I might not see them again until their next session.
Yeah.
This is definitely a way, I feel like, for them to be able to connect with me, to see that I'm
Mm-hmm.
human. Yeah, my
Yes.
Instagram stories is real cute, but some of this stuff, some of
Yeah.
this stuff, I deal with a kicking and screaming toddler too.
Yeah.
And so I feel like being able to say, look, it's not all sunshine and roses, but we can get through this together. We can encourage one another. Postpartum depression is still a very real
It is.
thing.
It is.
And if someone can just pop into the group and say, today is hard, I feel
Mhm.
like I've achieved what I wanted to achieve with that community.
Yeah. That is awesome. I love it. I love it. I I feel like this is a good note to end on. Just thank you for sharing that. I think that's such an important thing. And for me, like community and connection is so important. So I know, like for me, I love it. I love that you're doing that. And you've just moving to a new place can be so hard. And
It is so overwhelming.
yeah, and I live in Minneapolis. I moved here. It's been 7 years, but also there was a pandemic in there.
Yeah, that stole some
And
of
so
your
it's
time.
still,
It stole 2 years from you.
yeah. And so making that change is different. And then, but I love that you have done things to just put yourself out there and say, hey, this is me. I am like a part of this community now, and I want to serve it, and I want to connect with people. And
Mhm.
that's like, we just need so much more of that. And you're building a thriving business. So I think it's an encouragement for people that are moving that you can do it. There are things you can
Yes.
do. And if you think about when you first started your business, wherever you're at, there was so much you didn't know.
Exactly.
And now starting over, you have all of this, the years of knowledge that you've built. So it's not going to be like starting from scratch. You still have this base and you're going to be able to use it and things are going to be great.
Whitney, that's
So, yeah.
an amazing point. You're not starting from scratch, you're starting from experience.
Yes. Yes. But thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm
Yes.
so excited. I love sharing what I have experienced so that
Yeah.
someone else can go and do it better.
Yeah. I love that. Do it better. Yeah. But you're doing so great. And you're
Thank
just going to
you.
keep doing better.
Bye, Whitney. Thank you
Bye.
again so much for having me.